Hello, everyone, and welcome to week 5 of Impact Makers. This week, I want to bring you a little bit under the hood with Dustin's knack. I'm going to throw him a softball here. Dustin's knack of making up words, and the reason for that is, when I think about the last couple of posts that we've made, I was reflecting upon those, and one of Dustin's terms, simplicality, kept coming to mind. And so as we get rolling in this post, Dustin, why don't you take a moment to first define simplicality for everyone?
Yeah, you nailed it. I love sometimes making up words just to help explain something, and simplicality is one of those from a few years back. So it's a combination of keeping things simple yet practical. So simplicality, it's just something I've noticed over the years, and I know you've noticed it a lot as well as we dive into process and technology, and as we start to get more into visioning and planning with organizations, that a lot of times it's very easy to make things more complex or think from a complexity standpoint that's what the answer is. That's what's needed, and more often than not, the right answer, the more effective answer, is actually to make things simple. And so that's where the simplicality came from.
Yeah, thanks for that. So as we're thinking about what CPA firms and CPAs in those firms have been dealing with, jumping off of, having less to do thought process and the Kano model that we talked about, I'm thinking that, what was happened with PPP and diving into that advisory role of that, wouldn't you say that fits into the simplicality thought process of, really of how, where you can be, more focused in on delivering that value to the client?
Yeah, I think that's a great example, and something that I have had some conversations around recently is, and part of the reason that firms have been able to dive into that and be really effective at proving that they are true advisors to their clients is they really didn't have a chance to overthink it or overcomplicate it. They just had to do. And we are, as anyone that knows us knows that we are big on just take that first step, just start doing instead of overthinking, overcomplicating it. And I think if there's a blessing here in all the chaos, it's that as professionals in the CPAs in the profession didn't have a chance to overthink the PPP process too much. They just had to go in and help clients and just solve real issues today, and not try to make something perfect before jumping in. So I think that was a great jump into advisory for some people.
Yeah, so when you think about that, how would you suggest firms leverage that to continue down that path of moving away from just more compliance, moving into that more advisory or consultative role?
Yeah, and another one of our terms that we made up, right? Consultory, moving from compliance to advisor, and then potentially to consultant as well with the consultory CPA. I think this is a great chance for us to reemphasize the whole simplicality point, and what we think is going to be most beneficial for firms as they look to develop their talent to do more than just compliance, to be more than just 100% a compliance or a technician, and do more advisory and package more advisory work into what they do, to add value. To me, it's a no-brainer that I think there's been a lot of overthinking, overcomplicating what it takes to make that move to advisor and consultant. I mean, there's been, there are programs that, have a very formal structure to them, classroom-like structure that, I don't know if that's the right path or not to really being that consultant and advisor, as opposed to just trying to simplify it down to the core and take baby steps, take incremental steps to gain confidence, at which point then you can start running. Having a bunch of formalized, toolkits and that type of thing that you don't really know what to do with, that's not adding much value. But as you and I talk and we look at it, there are some simple wins beyond just PPP. Asking the right questions, knowing how to ask the right questions is a key component of being a good advisor. Being curious about a business and how they operate and building from asking the right questions. There is a wealth of opportunity by just analyzing tax returns and the data within those returns. There should be lots of questions that a professional has just by looking at a tax return and identifying opportunities for the client. And last but not least, take a look at the financial statements, that balance sheet, that income statement, that statement of cash flow. If you can't find a handful of questions to ask your client just by looking at those financial statements, you've been trained to do that. Mm-hmm. You already have the training to do that. And so just start small. You don't have to go through a formal training program to jump to advisor and consultant. It can be simpler than what we're making it. And I think that's the point that you and I strongly believe is needed in the profession right now. Is people are making this a bigger deal than what it has to be, instead of just diving in and get started. And I think PPP showed us that, hey, a lot of us can do that. So I'm excited to continue this conversation. You and I have had some passionate conversations with clients in the last couple of weeks around this topic, and are excited to see where it goes. So.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone.